Дойче Думков, ты еще увидишь, как из-за твоей продажной глупости, Анна-Лена Бербок, Берлин будет гореть.
Надо как-то сделать так, чтобы американские солдаты начали гибнуть.
Да мы сотрем в порошок Варшаву и Вильнюс.
Почему мы признаем Францию в ее границах?
Как я хочу посмотреть, чтобы Урсулиха фон дер Ляля корчилась с куском беспилотника в глотке.
Когда на сегодняшний день мы говорим, что война будет безъядерной, мы, наверное, лукавим.
По количеству на душу населения, правда, Канада ее опережает, но Америка — это мировая держава победила.
Я сейчас требую спалить Берлин.
Welcome to a new episode of Russian Hate Speech, where we break down the most absurd statements from Russian propagandists trying to fuel anti-Western statements among Russians. We will begin with Russian historian and political expert Vasily Kaltashov, who claims that it is Europe, not Russia, that is the source of the war. The West has turned into a source of war in Europe, despite its efforts to look decent. While China is saying that it is possible to end it this way, a peace proposal was made by Russia presented by the president of Russia, and Zelensky immediately rejected it. It turns out that the source of the conflict is not in Russia at all, and the attempt to present Russia as the perpetrator of the conflict is ultimately a failure. The conflict was created by the West is leading it, and the West does not want any peaceful solution. And this is exactly what all the peace statements, first of all Xi Jinping's speech, reveal. It's interesting how this works. Russia is the one who invaded Ukraine and continues to attack Ukrainian territory. Yet Europe, which helps Ukraine defend against this aggression, is labeled as the source of the war. This is typical logic for Russian propagandists, who merely follow the Kremlin's orders to slander everything and everyone that hinders the Kremlin's conquest mission. Next, we turn to John Varoli, an American journalist who frequently appears on Russian propagandist shows, calling the United States the main sponsor of terrorism in the world. Who is in the White House? Well, let's voice the harsh truth. It is the terrorist Joe Biden. He is a terrorist, a man who orders many terrorist attacks against your country, for example. We know it very well. It's under Joe Biden that the United States has become the main sponsor of terrorism in the world. This is really a terrorist regime in the United States. This is precisely what it is. We all know that. And I have no doubt that Joe Biden and the White House is behind this assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Who benefits from this? Only the White House. Yes, Donald Trump won't enter the White House until the end of January. Well, you know the election is in November, but the new president doesn't take office until the end of January, and Donald Trump won't get in there. There will still be assassination attempts on Donald Trump. I've said many times that modern American liberalism is the new incarnation of Nazism. This is an example of how Russian propaganda uses foreign speakers, calling them experts, to spread favorable to Kremlin narratives and form public opinion in Russia. This tactic leverages the perceived authority of foreign voices to lend legitimacy to their narratives. And lastly, there is the chief Kremlin propagandist Vladimir Solovyov, making new threat against Great Britain over Keir Starmer's support for Ukraine. Starmer says, here is the green light. Use our Storm Shadow missiles to strike Russian military targets. Debris are going to get hit, no problem. We just need to ensure that when the radioactive wave passes over Big Ben, there's a marker on the map so our ships don't touch it as they sail through what used to be Petty Britain. So we just need to make it clear. And following our good tradition, as always, we'll give 3 days for the citizens of Great Britain to leave the island. Listening to these outrageous claims by Russian propagandists not only reveals the opinions being shaped among the Russian population, but also showcases the extreme lengths they'll go to twist reality and manipulate public perception. Their statements are deliberately crafted to incite fear, mistrust, and hatred towards Ukraine's allies, ultimately securing support for the Kremlin's criminal actions.